Alright guys, you saw the title of the video, you know what's happening today. We are going to be dropping the tranny out of this Evo. But before we jump into the video, I just want to give you guys a huge shout out. The channel has been literally popping off the hook right now. It's all because of you guys sharing the videos, liking, commenting, subscribing, all that insane stuff that is helping the channel grow. So I just want to let you guys know I really freaking appreciate that. And if you enjoy the videos, make sure you go down below, smash that thumbs up button. It helps the channel tremendously. Thank you guys. First thing we're going to remove is our intake system. So I have the ETS intake. If you have a stock air box, you're going to go ahead and remove the whole air box. But I'm going to remove this whole intake system, the diverter valve from the lower intake pipe. The whole system is going to come out of the car. The next thing we're going to do is disconnect a bunch of wiring that is in the way. So any wiring that's connected to the top of the tranny, go ahead and remove. If it's running across the tranny, go ahead, disconnect that wiring. The next thing I'm going to do is remove this lowered intercooler pipe. It's kind of in the way. You could probably get away with not removing it, but I am choosing to remove it just to make everything much more simple. Next up, we need to remove all of the shifter linkage. So there's two cables going to the tranny, and there's 3 bolts. Let me grab the camera and show you guys a little up close. So there's 2 cables there we need to remove, and there's 3 bolts on that bracket back there. Go ahead, remove all of that. Next up is the clutch master cylinder. So there's just 2 12mm bolts. Rip those out. That master cylinder will come right out of the way. There's also a 12mm bolt on the back side for the clutch master cylinder, the slave cylinder line. Take that bolt out and then we can get this whole master cylinder assembly out of the way. Do not disconnect it from the line itself. Try to get it up and out of the way. The next thing is going to be to get the front of the car up in the air, get the front wheels off. I can't really do that without removing the front bumper, so I'm going to pull the bumper off, jack it up, get the front end on jack stands, get the front wheels removed from the car. If you guys are stock height still or on air ride or something, you probably don't need to remove the bumper to get it up in the air, but in my case, I do. Next up is going to be the skid plate. I personally am running the SSP under tray. I know that if you're running the stock plastic skid plate, those clips are a pain in the ass to get off, so take your time, be careful, try not to break them, and then when you get it off, pick up a SSP under tray because they're so much better. Next up is going to be removing this little crossbar right here, and then I'm also going to pull out this inner fender liner. It's super easy to remove and it gives you so much more space under the car. Alright, we have pretty good access to the tranny. There's a few more things we need to remove. That includes disconnecting the tranny from the motor, the transfer case from the tranny, and pulling all the axles out. Before we do any of that, we got to drain the transmission fluid. So I go ahead, drain the tranny fluid. While that's draining, we can pop off the hubs from the coilovers or the struts, whatever you're running, and just let those dangle, and then we can remove the axles. The passenger side axle doesn't have to be removed from the hub. It's got to be pulled out from the transfer, but it doesn't have to be removed from the hub. I would highly recommend removing the whole driver's side assembly though, because it's going to get in the way when installing and removing the transmission. So like I said, while that is draining, I am working on removing the strut from the hub assembly, and then this big ass nut on the end, I'm going to just use the impact on it. If you don't have an impact, you probably should have done this while the car was on the ground. Or you can just have someone go inside the car, hit the brake, and remove that nut from the axle. And by the way, the axle nut takes a 1 1/4 inch socket. From there, we need to pop the axle out of the transmission. And how you do that, you can either just like tug on it and hopefully it'll pop out, or I'm going to use this tire iron. You can use a flathead screwdriver. Just go up under there and pry on it a little bit and it should pop right out. While I'm still working on the driver's side, we're going to remove the axle stub from the transmission. So how you do that, you need some sort of slide hammer. You thread an 8mm bolt into the end of it, an 8mm threaded bolt, and it's 8 by 1.25 if you want to know the exact thread. You thread it into it, attach the slide hammer to that, and slide it out. There's a little star clip in there that holds it in. So when that star clip gets decompressed, it'll slide right on out of the transmission. So this is what a slide hammer looks like. I'm going to thread this bolt into the end. It's going to hook right on that little hook right there, and I'll pop that axle stub right out. So after we get the driver's side done, getting the axle out, getting the stub out of the transmission, go ahead and do that on the passenger side. Like I said, you don't have to remove the axle all the way. I'm going to do it myself just because it's not that hard. It's like one extra nut and then the axle slides out. So it's super easy to do. As soon as you get that done, there are 6 bolts holding the transfer case to the transmission. 3 on top, which are a pain in the ass to get to, and then 3 on bottom, which are super easy to get to. Hold on 1 second. The ones on top, I'm going to go from under the car, and then you go through the passenger side, like under the turbo, and you can get to them. There is one plate you have to pull off. I've already pulled it off. It's a little heat shield. This one here, that is held on by 3 10mm bolts. As soon as you get that off, you can pull out the 3 bolts on top. One is super long, and the other 2 are pretty short. And then 3 on the bottom are super easy to get to. Let me show you what those look like. So there's 2 right there on bottom, and then 1 back there. And then the 3 on top are, I can't really show you because that'd be impossible. They are very, very hidden. Just take your time, and they look just like these 3 bolts, but they're on the opposite side, so they're up top. As soon as you get all 6 bolts holding the transfer case to the transmission removed, sorry if I am looking like a freaking bum. I don't really care. This is a tutorial, not a fashion show. So as soon as you get those 6 bolts removed, you can get the transfer case to the passenger side of the car as far as possible. I did not remove the downpipe on this car, and I hope I don't have to, but the transfer case is hitting the downpipe right now. So if I have to remove the downpipe, I'll let you guys know. For now, I still have a downpipe on the car. Now I believe there's 8 bolts holding the transmission to the engine. As soon as you get all those 8 bolts removed, go ahead, jack up the engine with a piece of wood on the oil pan just to support it when you pull all the motor mount or the motor mounts off. And then we need to get another jack under the transmission. As soon as we get that transmission jacked up, we can pull the transmission mounts off. Hopefully you drop the transmission out of the car. Now if your what the frick they called, the clutch fork is still attached to the throwout bearing, unlike mine, you're gonna have to reach in there with the flathead screwdriver, reach into the transmission. There's a little access hole with the rubber on it right here. So what you're gonna do, reach in there with the flathead screwdriver and just pop that clip off the throwout bearing, and then that should release the clutch fork. As you can see, mine is already floppy, so I don't have to worry about that. Tranny is out of the freaking car, finally. Here's the throwout bearing that fell apart. So there's a bunch of clips on it. As you can see, all the clips are falling off. It is supposed to be on the clutch still. So yeah, that is what we're gonna be fixing. All that work, a couple hours worth of work just to fix a little clip on the throwout bearing. Now to fix this issue for good, ACT makes a collar. It's called a monolock collar. I'll have a link down in the description box below. But what it does is it replaces the whole clip system on the OEM throwout bearing. It's definitely needed. A lot of people run these. Pretty much everybody runs these. I wish I would have known about it when I built this motor, because of course I would have put this in. It runs about $70 to $80. I'll have a link down below. make sure you guys go pick one up. Very, very handy to have. I think I'm gonna wrap up this video right here, guys. As you can see, the training's out of the car. I know it wasn't the most in-depth, detailed tutorial I've ever done, but I hope it guides you along the way, the process of removing a transmission. I did not have to remove the downpipe, so if you guys don't want to remove it, you don't have to. We all know the Evo X's, the Evo 10 downpipes are a pain in the ass to remove, so it is not necessary to remove the downpipe. This downpipe's still in the car. I got the training out just fine. If you have any comments or questions, drop them down in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, smash that thumbs up button down below as well. Thank you so much for watching. If you like the content, hit that subscribe button. Would really, really appreciate it. I'll see you guys in the next video.